Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankarashadha Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Ishwara. We have seen last class the verse 16 in which Krishna says, the scriptures say that the result of sattvic action is pure punya. Uh, the result of Rajasic action is sorrow. The Tamasic action brings about ignorance, of course, but a very flat kind of lifestyle. You don't experience much suffering or sorrow or grief, but you're more close to the vegetal rain, very flat and, and so it's not much fun. But some people find it better than go into the world, develop Rajoguna, and go through the ups and downs of life, as we know. So he's wrapping up, bringing about the Palan. Again, the difference between Palan and Gati. Gati is the consequence or results once we leave the body. Palan is the result while we're in the body. And he's just repeating similar concepts. We know that Sattvic, Sattva Guṇa is responsible for clarity of mind, focus, purity of heart, and so on. So it's going to produce good results, of course. Rajasic, we know, is going to produce prosperity. But spiritual people do not care much for material prosperity. So therefore, on that level, they prefer to start sharing whatsoever prosperity they have or they acquire. Mm. And Tamasic is just like they like to extract. They're suckers, a bad expression. And that is the wrapping up of this, the palan of these three predominance of the gunas we've seen once interactions or incarnation, let's say. And Swami brings about a more poet language, say such a person will interact with the world, yes, it's not going to escape it, but you will see harmonious peace and satisfaction in their expressions. Their house is not going to be in a conflicting environment, but in a peaceful uh, environment. There is more room for understanding, good insights, growth. There is room for love and compassion and empathy. There is consideration, there is harmony, there is peace. This is called Nirmalan Palan. Okay, these good results, punya results, favorable results as far as spiritual develop. Whereas a Rajasic person will have some problems, tension, conflicts, intolerance, and so on. Stress, expectation, frustration, irritation, anger, strain. And as we know, the physical body is going to be affected as well because, it is, they call somatization, but basically the body-mind is one single organism, properly integrated. There is tension, there is irritability, there are flare-ups very often, violent reactions such as anger, Therefore, there is himsa, violence, different degrees. Irritation, anger, it brings mental violence and then verbal violence, and then you you provoke the anger in the other as well, and then the ambient becomes very, very negative. Everybody attacking one another, husband hurting the wife, wife hurting the husband, and everybody pointing the finger to one another. It's a chain reaction in which people do not live in a real, happy, peaceful home. This is called non-functioning home in the language of Swamiji. It's a house, but it's not a home. A home is when you feel in peace, in harmony with yourself and with the people around you, if you choose to live with people around you. The house is made out of bricks, space, compartments, but home is something altogether different. So therefore, a Rajasic environment is a dukkha, is a source of unpleasant experiences. People may be rich, got a lot of money, achievements, properties, prosperity. But as we know, material prosperity, a lot of money, it may be helpful if one is wise enough to make good use of all that money, to share in society, to produce wealth for society, and knowing perfectly well that one's real goal is not material prosperity, but spiritual prosperity. People usually they are materialists and they look at the richer neighbors, and say, wow, if at least I would, if I could have that, and so on. And then and that is a trick of the mind. Okay. Mind keeps projecting value and happiness in objects of experience and forgetting that that it's a relative somehow value because it is temporal, it's impermanent, it comes and goes. And furthermore, once you have achieved a certain goal, immediately you project another goal so that your peace and your happiness is destroyed. And so if people do not examine very clearly and they keep adding more desires, and the desire, this passion is going to slave and devour one's life energy, okay, which should be channeled into spiritual inquiry and nididhyasana and so on to attain the ultimate goal of one's life, which is absolute peace, not relative peace derived from uh, favorable paramadas. So some people grow up and then they begin wondering, so what is the use of all these accomplishments? Because I was mentioning this the other day in one of my satsangs that the clear indication, I think it was with you guys maybe, the clear indication that all these material accomplishments do not really resolve the problem is there. Why? Because the mind never stops projecting new objects of desires to find satisfaction. So it means to say that all achievement, for example, the person wants to have money and material accomplishments, riches, and properties, and they feel like if I would have all of that, I would be uh, resolved and peaceful vacations and travels. But then you see these people traveling, you don't see any joy in their face, generally speaking, you know. You don't see they don't have the ability to experience joy in any moment of their life. You know, it's just it creates a new distraction, and people going for these retreats, meaning not spiritual retreats, but these vacations. You know, and sometimes I in the past I used to say, not even if you guys pay a 1 week vacation in one of these cruise with thousands, hundreds of thousands of sansaris, I will decline. I don't go for it, you know. And so you're gonna go there seeing a bunch of fake people, miserable people, getting drunk, you know, doing stupid things, behaving inappropriately. So they can get distracted believing, and then they want to post the pictures around the internet to say, you see how happy I am. No, he's miserable. That's why he's already planning the next this, the next accomplish, the next trip. So the result is unhappiness. Okay, it's unhappiness because you are reinforcing, you are nourishing this delusional conclusion that my objects of desires are going to bring me true happiness, peace, and satisfaction. And then you keep feeding that mistaken notion, you know, and doing, and then you are warning out your mind, you know, bring more impurities, more through stress and conflicts and guilts and violations of Dharma and so on. The mind gets destroyed in the process. It's an experience of dukkha, and no matter how many millions or billions people have in their accounts. And how about Tamasic people in Tamasic transactions? Tamasic transactions are happening, meaning sleeping in this room and in that room. So that's not transaction. That is Anandamaya kosha. There is no transaction, Swamiji. But Tamasic people, they still transact a little bit. Tamasic people, I'm inclined to say, and my take in all of this, Tamasic people is still have desires, okay? But they don't have the energy to go and try to accomplish their desires, playing according to the rules of society, the rules of Dharma. Mhm. But they have desires. And then what Tamasic people do? They cheat, they steal, they deceive, you know, they robber. That's it's the best definition for the Brazilian politicians in most governments around the world, you know. So they are Tamasic people. Oh, but they are very active, but they are active cheating, and instigating others to cheat for them and do things for them, you know, because you see a leader of a government, it seems, no, and I don't want to mention names, but they have a lot of time to play golf, to play other things, and so on. But they know how to dictate the orders for people to keep cheating, stealing, robbing, deceiving. They they are going to use these people, bribe these people around them, people who are deluded, believing that that position of power gives them happiness. But they are all in the same boat. The boat is misery ship, a huge misery ship. And of course, there are some Tamasic people that do not even make an effort to cheat the system to gain some objects of desire. They see all of that in the TV, in the how you say novels is uh, in English say
Series.
soap operas, Mexican soap opera.
Soap operas, yeah.
So they see all of that and then they desire those things. And they say, no, I'm not even going to try to do anything, not even cheat or deceive. I'm going to just stay awake, but in my subject reality of dreaming that I may enjoy these things tomorrow. So they are dreamers, Tamasic people. They dream, 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 but they never follow through with any actions. They live in a kind of Prada state of mind, the Prada, how you say, the three things, Prada, Moda, and Pramaya, Prada is they extract some joy just imagining the achievement, the realization of some of those objects. Oh, if I could be like these celebrities, we know this. Now, we all have done that in the past, different degrees. So Proda, Moda, when you start feeling like, oh, now maybe I'm learning to cheat a little bit, I may be coming close to accomplish or realize that. So they live in this kind of Proda state of mind at the most. Or not the most, they cheat and they try to get what they want. But usually they have to move into some sort of politics. Human life is wasted in that way. Ignorance is perpetuated. So therefore, all forms of ignorance include self-ignorance. If ignorance is just like even out of the question. I talk about ignorance about how to live one's life in a proper way, in a positive and health way. So the person has no objectivity upon their attitudes, words, and actions. This is the result of Tamasic karma. Jnana is one palan, one of the results. Very careful. When I say ignorance, it's ignorance fundamentally about the Dharma. You have no clue how to live your life, uh, following the rules. Observing Dharma. Yeah, you have no concept of Dharma. There is no concept of anything that is worth calling knowledge, real knowledge. It's living a life like animals, the law of the jungle. I go and get, howsoever, the price of stepping on people's mind, head, and so on, destroying the environment and people. So if you live like an animal, of course, you are not going to get a chance for a rebirth with a human life. Shwara is perfect about that. So we have these three kind of palans. So this is the fifth stop that we have concluded. Next verse 17. Knowledge is born out of Sattva, greed is born out of Rajas, negligence is or delusion, along with ignorance are born out of Tamas. So he's not done yet with this. This fifth topic is over. So I thought that this is still a kind of a palan. It's a sort of palan. Fifth stop is a palan. Knowledge is born. Now he's going back there to see how things unfold. Knowledge is born. Clarity, desire for knowledge, and contemplation is out of Sattva. Greed is born, or it's a result of Rajoguna, more, 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 better, and different, as Ramji used to say. Negligence and delusion and ignorance is born out of tapa, is a repetition of the same concept. It is the consequence of the Guṇa that somehow governs my body, mind, sense complex. So we have to make this assessment to understand which Guṇa is the one influencing or dominating our life. He's presented the three gunas. Results topic is continued. Out of Sattva guna, Jnana is born. So as we know, Sattva guna is going to activate our yanindriyas, which is the organs of knowledge. So we have to understand that yanindriyas, organs that allows us to experience and extract some sort of knowledge, regardless of knowledge being accurate or not accurate, good or bad. But experience/knowledge, there is never an experience which does not follow with a certain knowledge, regardless of the quality of this knowledge. So that comes through our organs of perception, instruments of perception, through which we have an experience and we try to learn something from each and all experience, though that is yanindriyas. Yeah. So a Sattvic person has the reception, the channels that receive the input from the world more activated, And how about the organs of actions? It's not going to be suppressed completely, but a wiser person, more sattvic, listens more and talks less, observes more, and jumps up with compulsive reactions less and less. So that's the nature of a person in which the organs of experience and knowledge are more dominate. So the person is more bright, has more capacity to learn and to extract knowledge out of experience, and more focus, more memory, retaining capacity of certain experience, because otherwise human beings like we ourselves, of course, we have an ability to repeat the same errors again and again and again and again. We don't retain whatsoever understanding we got from the previous experience, our desire for maybe extracting true permanent happiness next time deludes the person and say this time is going to be different. No, it was already determined that it's not somebody else, a new wife, a new husband. Like my poor father, is still dreaming that if he finds a new wife at the age of 97, he may be well set and happy. So some people do not have any capacity to access the fact that the problem is that I'm looking for happiness in the wrong place. So capacity to remember, to retain certain insights, to build up capacity. Therefore, knowledge increases the leaps and bounds whether it's material knowledge or spiritual knowledge. Such way is required for wisdom, knowledge. So Rajaguna, when in Rajaguna is dominant, what is the result? More, better, greediness. I get this, I get that, and then I want more, more, more. And I don't share because if I share, it's going to empty a little bit my glass. I don't want to empty it, not even an inch. I want to increase the level of my material accomplishments. So ambition, more plans, scheme, till the last breath, this person will turn like a top. So all the time in affliction, which is greediness and ambition. Greed is the result of a life governed by excess of Rajoguna. And out of Tamaguna, we have ignorance, forgetfulness, omissions rather than commissions, laziness, procrastination. And that is going to bring delusion. Means delusion or conflicts. So conflicts usually comes with a personality extremely Rajasic because it wants so much what it wants, and a lot of the time, one's desire is going to conflict with somebody else's desire as well. There will be conflicting interests within one's relations, you know. So Tamoguna does not have much that, but still is subject to especially delusion. But Swami says that is subject as well to some sort of conflicts as well. Indecisiveness. This is so much Tamasic uh, feature, you know. The person is on the fence all the time, not being able to make a decision. Incapacity to decide anything. Eternally consider to do, not to do, to be, not to be, to go, not to go, to eat, not to eat. In everything there is this is the conflict Swamiji is referring to. It's not conflict with others, an inner conflict of not being able to exercise choice and go for anything, you know. They'll say, oh no, okay, I'm gonna wait. Life is going to decide for me. Very typical. Life is going to decide for me. So it's going to be producing anyana, perpetuation of ignorance because of tamaguna. Those are the balance as well of the three gunas. Let's see if we change the subject here. Verse 18, Sattvic people go up, Rajasic people remain in the middle, Tamasic people abiding by the functions of the lowest guna go down. So this is a general concept. Swami presents it very often. He says that extremely Rajasic people uh, it's so extroverted that somehow did not develop uh, uh, certain desires for spiritual growth, for emotional, psychological growth, and so on. It's just want material growth. Okay. So if the person is extrovert to this extent that it's only think about I and mine and my family, it's as for as long as the person is not violating Dharma right and left, the person is not destroying themselves, is not declining completely, but it stagnates somehow in the middle. Okay, it remains there until it learns that it's okay not to observe Dharma, but you need to go a step higher and start using your Rajasic energy to produce wealth, not only to you, but to society as well, to others as well. For that, you need to have the capacity of donation, of sharing, of giving value to the society, to the field. No? And here Swamiji says that this go up and down, it refers more to gati, which is when one leaves the physical body. It's not self-realized because we are not talking about yanis here. We're talking about people governed by one of these three gunas. Usually we are governed by the three gunas, okay? But the predominance, the ones that most dominates our construct, you know? So he's saying that this business of staying in the middle, going up and going down, it better applies to the concept of gati. Once you leave the body, okay, what's going to happen to this soul? So if it's a Rajasic person, it remains still in this loka. It finds a way back, yeah, a return ticket right away to this realm in which the person can give continuity to this process, desires, vasanas, until one develops enough wisdom to understand that desire is a problem, not the solution. This verse also talks about Gati. They travel after that. How do they travel? Sattva Guṇa, those people, Sattva is predominant. They go to higher lokas. Uh, one of the lokas, 7 lokas above. Okay, this is not much relevant. There is one loka missing, 7 above and 6 below. What is the other one to make 14 is the one we are in. So don't forget to count the 10th man, right? The 10th, our Lord. What about the Rajasic people? They come back quickly. They remain in Manusya Loka. They remain stagnant. And it's good enough that they don't go down, but it's a pity that one does not go up. Go up has two concepts here, two you know two angles, because it's not only that you go to a higher locker to enjoy a nice holiday, experiencing some celestial lockers experience of punya. It's like you go there, you're going to enjoy the peaceful mind you developed through Sattvic kind of lifestyle, but you're going to enjoy that kind of palan, which is referred as gati, because it's after you leave the body. But then you are going to expire or exhaust your punya and have to come back to our loka again. No? So that is okay. But anyhow, you go up, but you come back. So if we forget about the concept of gati, any one of these predominance of gunas is going to be producing not only an experience of a higher loka between births, but a better rebirth. Okay, a better rebirth is a rebirth of someone who has done already some good work. Now it's after enjoying the the how you say the results, the forgot the word of one's life lived in such a way, rewards. So now he has a second reward, which is a better birth, a better society, a better family, a better environment. Okay. But even while alive, so the Tamasic people remains there stuck, Me, money, me, money, more, better, greediness, more ambition, baby. I'm observing Dharma, okay. So I'm not really declining psychologically, emotionally, and mentally, but I am stuck as well while I am still living. I'm not growing, I'm not declining, I'm there stuck. And the only thing I have at my favor is that I observe law, Dharma, and I consider God in my life. Okay, that's why I observe Dharma. For whatsoever reason, I understood that there is Dharma of the Lord the Creator, and so on. And the Sattvic person, while alive, is rising up, is developing, it's growing, it's going up. Mind has become more and more clear, more and more resolved, pacified, focused, clear. So that is a way of going up as well while we are still in this loka of ours, because fundamentally the lokas are determined by the state of mind of the individual souls. You can be in the highest possible loka while you're still incarnated, because your mind is purified at that extent. You understand? We know, in one single day we may go through some experience that denotes what is said to be a lower locker, in which there is so much agony and fear and stress, and concerns and worries, preoccupation that we feel like, oh my God, I can't live it anymore. So we can experience that in one day, and then by the evening things go okay, and then the mind pacifies out of the blue. You say, oh my God, nothing can touch me. Now I'm in heaven. So those are different lokas. Okay. Those who continue in the lowest guna, tamaguna, inferior most guna, tamaguna, those who remain that vibration, lifestyle, or attitude remains in that Tamasic lifetime, and they keep going down. Okay, they keep going down. It's not that they remain all the time the same. They remain in this loka, and they may come back later on into a lower birth as an animal, or in a lower loka, a lower kind of physical reality, if there is such a thing, in which things are even worse than here. You understand? So, of course, incidentally, we should remember when we say that Svaga Loka is higher and Patala Loka is lower, the word higher and lower do not indicate any spatial location. Okay, lower means this is higher means this sign. You should think, because the higher and the lower is a relative thing. So for the people who are in America, higher is different from those who are in India. High and lower have nothing to do with particular space, because according to the Shastra, each loka has got a different time and space. We are talking about physical lokas, because we call our loka physical material loka, but every loka has a certain physicality, but it's subtle in a way that our instruments of physical perception do not enter those lokas. So you need to have a subtle kind of instrument if we can really, yeah, that's what it is, to experience objectively those realms. But what I was trying to say here is that the whole higher loka and lower loka has less to do with a certain space-time loka. Okay, of course there is something that comes together for those souls in that level of vibration, so to speak. But furthermore, it's the mind of each one of us who is traveling through these lokas, even through the same single 24 hours. So it is a mental state which allows us to experience lokas while still incarnated here in this physical material loka of ours. So we can locate another loka in terms of time and space. You have to understand this. We can never locate. If you have to understand this, it's like our dream objects and dream state. If you experience objects in the dream, they are all located in which time and space. They allocate only in a dream time and space. You can never talk about the location of those objects experienced in relation to our physical realm and our mental state as awakening. You experience this physical, material, vyavaharika reality. So if you have an experience of a dream elephant in the night during a dream, so you are not going to wake up afraid that the elephant is in your bedroom. So the elephant that was located in a different realms. Fundamentally, it's a projection of one's mind in a certain state, okay, which is the dream state. All these lokas are different sorts of dreams as well. superior locus and inferior locus. Okay, they are projections of the mind. You can never locate the objects in one locker in the time and space. Then how do you say swaga is higher? That is higher there, the higher does not mean spatial location. What it means, Swamiji, higher. Okay. So time location also we can talk about. That is why in dream you have got months of experience, so time and space is different. The time as well, you dream in 1 minute and you can go through decades in your life experience in a dream as a dreamer and so on. But what is a higher locker and inferior locker? A higher locker is a locker in which your mind is pacified, is satisfied, it's peaceful, it's clear, it's experience love and compassion. So, and we have this experience within our day-to-day human experience of life. You understand? So, how are you going to put it in terms of location? So, it's all happening in the mind. The mind may project collectively a certain environment in which we experience certain locale, which is a different location, but it's a mental location. So it's all happening in the mind, after all, the same way the dream state is happening in the mind. And children also got married. That's why when we want to offer food, etc., for the Pitrus or devas, we do not have to feed them every 3 hours, like in Americans, eating every 3 hours, so to speak. That's in the lokas, but the deva lokas, in these lokas, deva lokas, our 1 year is 1 day, so you just offer once a year. So that's a parallel that has some significance, logical significance there. They are refined, they don't need much of our food, regular meals. The same way our sense objects are refined in higher locker. It's called locker higher because it gives room to superior degree of experience. And this is only relevant to understand in the context of our experience in our day to day, because we can have an experience which is said to be a higher locker experience, in which my mind was so pacified, so purified, so loving, compassionate, and so on, that I was in heaven. I don't care which heaven it was, but I felt I was in heaven. Similarly, the sense objects also are refined. Like now, when you talk about the sense object, we are talking about a locker, which is indeed projected by the mind, but the objects are going to be more refined because they are much more subtle. Okay, they're much more subtle. But the curiosity here is that when we dream, and the dream is a nightmare, the objects of that nightmare is also very subtle. So subtle objects do not necessarily translate as higher or more refined objects. Okay, so we have to be careful with this concept. Refinement is higher and so on. It does not mean subtlety. The sense objects are also of higher refinement, like we see the earth itself in some other country. Everything is good, including water. Okay. The famous Bisleri bottle of water. Mark, the most expensive drinking water of India, most probably. But even the Bisleri now you have to be suspecting because we are in an inferior locker. Therefore, if any refinement you find in the locker is relative. What to say about higher lockers? Now Swam begins talking really. Svaga is here and now. You can say beyond the clouds, etc. But Svaga Loka is here now. It will depend. I'm not reading it yet. It depends on your state of mind. Let me see what he says. I did not read the text today, as you can imagine. In fact, you are able to change this body even while you are here. Suppose you can remove this physical body and put on Indra Shahira, just suppose, then here itself you can experience Svaga. Therefore, the field of experience depends upon the type of medium you use. Okay, so he's still expressing it in a mystical way, meaning to say, you have this body, but you can refine your very physical body so that you can somehow access higher locus. Because you see, the complex body mind is a combination of the physical and subtle body. Okay, and the subtle body is very subtle. It's which allows us the experience such as love, compassion, and peace, and so on. So the physical body does not have anything to do with it. It just receives the perceptions coming from the environment, and then the subtle body, which is attached to the physical body, is going to have a subtle experience of love or hate, to use two extremes, you know. So when we have this wonderful experience, because our mind is refined, purified, pacified, equanimous, and when we have those moments, we experience yet through this physical body in this physical realm, but we experience through our subtle body. It means our subtle body has refined, purified, and become more and more subtle. So it vibrates in a certain way that even though it is anchored to a physical body, it still vibrates in a way that has access to higher local experience. Okay. Swami is putting more like you can just take another body, and then enter in one of these superior lokas. You can take a body of one of these deities. But the fact, to my take is, the fact is that we don't need to take any other subtle body. We need to convert our subtle body from a more gross condition to a more refined and subtle and purified condition, so that we somehow we experience those lockers. Okay, you need a different refined conversion of your body. It does sometimes it happen like that when you least expect in the same day, you know, things clear, and then your subtle body, it somehow it becomes clear. You experience a peace. You don't know where it comes. No concern, no preoccupation. You're just like, wow, you know. So there you are. You are having not purchased or get or received another subtle body. There was a conversion that sometimes happened effortlessly due to Prarabdha karma. But there are also other instances in which I work to purify and refine my subtle bodies, yet anchored to the physical body. My body, mind, sense complex is purified through sadhana and spiritual effort. so that I can experience other realms, other lokas, because my mind now is vibrating in a way that it enters those celestial lokas, okay? As if I had put on an Indra body, Shahira, which is a subtle body. All gods have subtle body. Just suppose, okay, so this is presenting in a mystical, esoteric way for the public of Swamiji. I have to remember that Swamiji is dealing with not highly developed students, and they keep coming. A huge turn, you know. He's a celebrity, and he's out there working through hundreds of thousands of people. People come, stays for a little bit, and he's presenting the teachings in the best possible way to accommodate the entire crowd, public, okay? No, but of course, he goes very deep when he goes into certain Upanishads, but yet I can see that he used a language that even people on the more entry and middle level can access and understand. And sometimes he brings Puranic concepts, mystical concepts, such as this one. And then he keeps playing with Jesus, say, so you know you can also using a body, a dog body, and then you're gonna hear more and so on. So he's playing with it. We say that the field of experience is one and the same. If we would have access to a dog subtle body, yet we would not be able to listen, to hear things as dog listens, because it's not enough to have ears like the dogs, but I have to have a brain like the dogs so that I can have a dog experience of hearing things, you know? So, but anyhow, suppose if you had that, you would have a totally different experience. The fact is, nobody knows exactly how animals experience the same life, the same environment. We live together with animals. Every one of us experience the same environment differently, okay? And it's said that even the devas, they enjoy the same, all dimensions, they say it's all together, you know. Even the devils, they enjoy the same environment, but on a different level of vibration, you know, such as the difference between the way I experience the ground here and my chicken experience the ground in a different way as well. So things like that. When the seer understands the doer to be none other than the gunas and knows the self which is beyond the gunas, it attains my nature, Arjuna. Okay, so the seer, the one experiencing life, interacting with this realm of duality, physical, material, and mental as well, emotional. Everything is combined. When one is experienced thinking that I am the thinker of my thoughts, the doer of my actions, I'm the controller of my life, and so on. When they understand that I am doing all these activities through the power of Maya's gunas, everything is happening due to my gunas, you know. If someone understands that correctly, this someone will know the self, which is guna tirtha. It's beyond or before the gunas, which is nirguna. So that is the understanding that allows Jivatma appear and join or merge into Paramatma, but this merge or this attainment is attainment through a direct understanding of one's nature as the only reality, which is God, which is consciousness, existence. Huh? So what is the doer? The doer is a total illusion, is a conclusion that I am thinking my thoughts. Let's begin by that. I am thinking my thoughts. And the thoughts, they are just produced. Produced by what? By the causal body, the collective mind, the collective unconscious, subconscious mind of these societies, you know. The thoughts are there and they are just popping, popping. They are just traveling like that. And we are just like that, falling, falling, experience attraction, repulsion towards those thoughts. So, and then we are going to be compelled to run away from those thoughts or those concepts and notions, or follow those thoughts to try to reach those thought objects. We have to understand that the thought object is identical to the real physical object. The thought objects, they are just memories in respect to physical objects we have contact and experience. When we experience an object such as a dog, we're going to have a thought and a feeling either of attraction or repulsion towards the dog. And that is going to be deposited as memories or impressions in my mind. Okay. And then if that impression becomes strong for some reason, some fixation, or either now I'm a dog lover, a dog hater, you know, or fear. And then I close my eyes to meditate, and then the dog is gonna appear in my mind. You understand? And then where is this thought is coming? It's coming from the collective subconscious or causal mind of humanity, you know, of my environment, my culture, and so on. And all of that is being moved by the gunas. You know? The gunas compels us to enter the game of life, experience this object, and then experience raga aversion, attraction, and repulsion, and then our actions are going to follow. And who is running the show here? The energies, the gunas. Okay. And if I have a personality which is mostly dominated by Raja Guna, I'm going to be a very active person. My instruments of actions is going to be more active, and my Jnana Indras, no, Kama Indras are going to be activated. Jnana Indras is going to be a little bit suppressed. So, and that says what? The gunas, they are in control somehow. But that does not cancel our responsibility in terms of examining my guna nature and make an effort to develop a better nature, a more balanced nature, a more sattvic nature, a nature that's more compelled to observe, reflect, contemplate before I put my actions. Let my actions not be compulsive and mechanical. So the gunas are there pushing us in every sense, either to contemplate, either to become and remain stagnant, or to act compulsively. Okay. The one who has understood the three gunas, understood the benefit of conversion of Rajaguna and Tamaguna to become more contemplative, you know, yet has a Sattvic personality, yet it's not free because it's still identified with its guna, saguna nature. Okay. The one who understands that the doer, the thinker of thoughts, the doer of actions, they are all governed by the three energies, the gunas. Only that has got the understanding of one's true nature of the self as that as beyond the gunas, before gunas, or nirguna. So the goal here is not to become a super saguna jiva, yeah? But to become, in terms of understanding, a nirguna atma, our true nature, free nature, beyond the gunas. That is the attainment of the same nature as Paramatma, as in the Mahavakya that says Jivatma, Mahavakya, Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya. the same Atma. Okay? Sorry again for forgetting our timing. Anyhow, it worked out. I guess we had a good satsang, and we're going to unfold this verse on Monday, okay?
Arlindo, waiting for you to unfold this understanding. I mean, I've been waiting infinite janmas. I can wait 5 minutes. Thank you so much. A beautiful class.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well, and appreciate your appreciation. And okay, I have Monday. I have to go to remove the stitching of my surgery. I could do the class at Silver's place, or what would be better for me would be next week we do class Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Friday, if it works for you guys. Are you okay next week for changing our?
Works for me.
Okay, and then let's be organized, planning for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Ishwara. See you next
Thank
time.
you, Arlindo. Great class, and look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday.
Thank you. Appreciate. Bye bye.